Welcome to my Mayterm presentation. We begin by crossing the ocean to jolly old London town. We saw all the sights that London had to offer. During the royal wedding, we left town to continue our search for all that is mysterious. This search led us to Bath and Stonehenge. We began our day at Bath, which is west of London. The city of Bath is rich with history from the Roman baths to the Georgian architecture. The city is also known for its cider, afternoon tea, and Cornish pasties. The Romans built a bathhouse here, which gave the city its name. A large portion of the buildings are still standing due to preservation. It is interesting to note that the same hot springs the Romans used in their baths were just as important in the 1800s. These waters were claimed to have healing benefits. As a person who has tasted this water, it does not taste like it will help me, but it is better than Sioux City water in my personal opinion. After this excursion, the journey for the mysterious continued on to Stonehenge. Ironically, the UK has many other stone circles like this that are larger, but Stonehenge is the most popular. It is amazing to consider the length of time spent building Stonehenge. Multiple lifetimes were spent building this monument. The feat these ancient people accomplished of moving these stones to this spot is incredible. It defies explanation, which is why Stonehenge is so mysterious. Individuals seeking a mysterious explanation look to aliens, Merlin, or even a giant. We will never know exactly what this monument is for, but there are multiple speculations ranging from an observatory to a team-building exercise. The next mysterious event of note was the Jack the Ripper tour we took in London. In the hours before, we had visited the Tower of London, which is known as a place of torture, imprisonment, and beheading. So that was a nice start. Our guide was an incredible storyteller. He took me back in time to experience the emotions surrounding the Jack the Ripper killings. Walking through the dark streets of Whitechapel truly added to the ambiance. When the tour ended at 10 bells, I could feel the suspense in the air of being in this area that has existed since Jack the Ripper. Going to the London dungeon the next day really added to the experience. Hearing the actors tell their stories in the scary ambiance of the London dungeon made me feel more than suspense. I was straight up scared. On a lighter note, I was very excited to go to the Royal Opera House in London and the Palais Garnier in Paris. I am currently a double music major in music education and vocal performance. I want to sing opera around the world. Seeing these opera houses really refreshed my love for this art, as well as gave me more motivation to work for my dreams. I'm also a huge fan of Phantom of the Opera. Seeing the opera house that gave life to one of my favorite musicals was amazing. Another opera-related experience I cherished was learning that Henry Purcell was buried in Westminster Abbey. Myself and many others of the Morningside Music Department were involved in Henry Purcell's Dido and Aeneas this last year. After spending several days in London, it was time to leave for Paris. So we packed our bags and took a train under the British Channel to the City of Love. With only 2 days to spend here, every day was packed with many things to see and do. I would love to talk about the catacombs and how mysterious they were, but in true Paris fashion, they were on strike. Some of my final thoughts I would like to share in this presentation are from the Louvre. My favorite piece from the Louvre is The Virgin and Child with St. Anne by Leonardo da Vinci. Walking past this painting in the Louvre, one would not think that this is a Da Vinci. It is a lesser-known work of Da Vinci's. It is worth mentioning on a tour, but nowhere near as popular as his Mona Lisa. I am drawn to this work for multiple reasons. Firstly, I admire Da Vinci. He was the quintessential Renaissance man. He painted, invented, made medical discoveries, etc. He's everything I aspire to be. He is the jack of all trades. Secondly, the composition and style of the piece are intriguing, at least to me. The composition from afar is pleasing to the eye, but upon further analysis, the actual positions of the individuals in the painting can be thought of as confusing. I find the piece rather calming. I always discover something new when I look at it. The colors, specifically the blue of Mary's clothes, is so striking, and the textures feel very organic. I feel like I could reach into the painting and exist in this world. Da Vinci's human forms make use of his knowledge of anatomy to create better portraiture than any other, in my personal opinion. Finally, we had to go home, back to the States. As I sit here and contemplate on this plane, I feel truly blessed to have been given this opportunity to come on this trip. Whenever I travel, I am reminded to be patient, to be curious, to try new things, and to stop and smell the roses. I was rereading the Lord of the Rings series, and a couple quotes really stuck with me as I contemplated this trip. 1. It's dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. You can go into a trip thinking you fully know the outcome as well as what you think you will take away from it. But the wonderful thing about travel is that anything can happen. 2. Not all those who wander are lost. What I really loved about the free days was simply being able to wander, to people watch, and explore. Not always knowing where I was going, but enjoying the journey every step of the way. 3. Don't adventures ever have an end? I suppose not. Someone else always has to carry on the story. I look at this trip and every other trip I've gone on as stepping stones to seeing and learning more and more about the world. This is just the beginning of my travels. Thank you for listening to my presentation on the mysterious London and Paris Mayterm. I had an amazing time overseas and would like to deeply thank Morningside College, the faculty that accompanied us, and EF Tours.